Welcome to the Know Before You Go Travel Show, where we share all the latest travel tips, tricks, and insights to make your next vacation the best one yet. So sit back, relax, grab a cocktail, and enjoy the show with Penyak Travel's George Penyak and our senior travel consultant, Janet Penyak.
Happy Friday, everybody.
Hey, everyone.
It's our Friday. Now I know it might not be y'all's Friday, but it's our Friday. But whenever you're listening to this, we hope you guys are having a great day. It's our Friday. We want to give you a quick episode here. We were just talking about, what are some of the top mistakes that we see in 2018 that travelers make? And we're going to try to go over some of the top mistakes that we see and how you guys can avoid that when you make your travel plans. Hopefully you're making your travel plans with us so you can avoid all the mistakes. But if you're making one your own, that's okay too. We're going to tell you how to avoid them.
Yes.
So anyways, and I still love the catchy little jingle that we have.
Yeah, it sounds awesome.
It does. It sounds way better. We sound like pros. We're getting better and better at this whole podcast thing as time goes on.
Well, first we should also tell people where we're going tomorrow.
Oh, that is right. We are actually leaving for Las Vegas.
Viva Las Vegas.
And what happens in Vegas. So we won't do a podcast on it because what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Oh, we might have to talk a little bit about
Okay, we'll talk a little bit about Vegas. We won't talk about Vegas now.
Oh, no.
We'll go experience it all. We've been like a handful of times, so we kind of know like the back of our hand. But anyways, we'll definitely do a show when we get back on that. It should be pretty good.
Yep.
We're not big gamblers either, but Vegas
I
is
just
fun.
love all the food and the shows. And yeah, so we'll have a fun little podcast to tell you all about our trip whenever we get back.
God, the food is so good. Some of the best restaurants out there.
Yes.
And it used to not be like that. I think way back in the day, the restaurants weren't great.
Yeah.
But now that it's modernized and New Vegas has blown up, that's where all the good food is. Anyways, let's jump into the top mistakes that we see these days. That, because we get a lot of people come to penyaktravel.com. We get a lot of stuff on Google where they've already booked, and then they'll call us for help because they got into a bind and they didn't book with us. But that's okay. But we still want to talk and help people that, if you did get in a bind there, see what we can do. If you find us on Google or wherever you find us at. So anyways, let's start with just a couple simple ones here. I think we have like 3 main ones that we'll go through.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just ask you, what's the number one mistake you see? Let's just start from the top, or should we go bottom up?
Oh, no, we can start from the top.
So what about, I think the biggest one is like just individuals not understanding or buying travel insurance for a complicated trip.
And just not understanding what all it covers and why exactly you should do it. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes you can make because you cannot predict the future. You don't know what's going to happen. Something could come up at the last minute where, you have to cancel, and you want to be able to have, the reassurance and have that insurance that you can file a claim and get all your money back. And so the, $4,000 or however much it is that you just spent on your trip doesn't go to waste.
Yeah, because if you spend... if you're spending a good chunk of change on your trip and then you have complicated flights and some inner workings there, you want to have that protection because to lose out on a lot of that, because, if something happens, it's not necessarily the resort's fault or the airline's fault. If something happens, like say you have a family member unexpectedly pass, hopefully they'll work with you, but not all of them do. So it's always best to have travel insurance and you just don't have to worry about it.
Right.
What are some of the reasons you see people needing to change last minute and thank God they had the insurance? You've probably seen it and heard it all, right?
Oh, yeah. I've most recently this summer had someone get put into the hospital with pneumonia the day before he was supposed to leave for his trip. I've had other instances where a relative has passed away or a relative got diagnosed with breast cancer, and luckily she was supposed to go to Hawaii. It was her mother, and she canceled her trip and was able to file a claim, as taking care of her mother, and she got her money back. So
that's incredible. And then you can rebook. You get that money back, settle what's going on, and you're not forced to take that trip or lose the money. Right. So I think that's a huge one. That's not only for 2018. I just think people are making that mistake all over the place. You gotta you never know. And
it's
not that much, right? If you're already spending,
it's based on age and cost of trip, but generally speaking, you can protect your trip for a couple $100, and I mean, that to me is well worth it for the peace of mind. So, and it also gives you emergency medical coverage while you're traveling. It covers baggage if they're lost or delayed. And then also, I think we've talked about this before, but if you get delayed somewhere, like on a connecting flight, and you end up having to stay the night, if the airline doesn't pay for it, for example, they wouldn't pay for it if it was due to weather.
Yeah, because they can't control the weather.
Then you're on your own. So you can file if you have the insurance, you can file a claim with the insurance company and be reimbursed for the amount of your hotel room up to a certain amount. So, and that happened to us.
Yeah, and it's actually happened to us personally. Thank God we had the insurance. And also think about this: if you're flying somewhere to catch a cruise. Think about that. If you don't have the insurance there and you get delayed on a connection getting to Florida or something for a cruise, and the boat leaves, the boat's not going to wait for you.
Nope.
You got that insurance so you can find a way there. Otherwise, you're kind of hosed, right?
Yeah,
you have
absolutely.
To find your way there.
And that is another good mistake that I didn't even think of. But if you're going on a cruise, arrive a day early just to give yourself the extra time, just in case. Account for delays, and that's a no-brainer in my opinion.
The online websites will not tell you that, but trust us.
Yes,
we always try to get you there a day early. Enjoy an extra day of vacation. Get there on the Friday or Saturday before. Stay in Miami if you're going to. We just recently did that. We stayed in Miami. We got there the night before.
Yep.
Had a great time. The vacation starts early, and then you don't have to worry about stressing to get there. And
right.
Vacation is better at that pace.
Absolutely.
So that's one. Let's talk about this one. So a lot of questions coming up about basic economy fares. Now, I don't know if that's just AA, American Airlines, or is that on... Do a lot of companies do that?
All of them. All the three major ones, American, Delta, and United, all have basic economy fares.
And I heard a lady at the counter. I was on a flight, and she had a basic economy fare, but didn't understand really what that was. It's just a cheaper rate, but she didn't understand why it was cheaper, and she was going berserk.
Oh, because they were probably going to charge her for her carry-on bag.
Yes.
Yeah, which Delta actually allows a carry-on bag, and American has changed that. I think it was like as of September 5th or something like that, where with the basic economy, you do get a carry-on bag, but beforehand you didn't. Now, United still does not allow that. And then, you don't get to pick your seats. You'll often end up in a middle seat with the basic economy. So for 25 or 50 extra bucks, I think it's worth it. Do the main cabin economy, just so you don't even have to fool with that.
Yeah, do the main cabin economy, not the basic economy. Chances are you're ending up with the middle seat if you do that, and
no one likes the middle seat.
No one likes the middle seat. Plane etiquette, in my opinion. Well, I don't know if it's fact or opinion, but I've always felt if you're in the middle, you should have ownership of the two armrests.
Yeah.
And then the window seat has their armrest near the window, and the aisle seat has the armrest towards the aisle. But because you're in the middle, you're supposed to have etiquette is you get both those elbows. But you know how many people actually follow that etiquette? Like 1%.
Hardly any. Yeah.
I fly all the time. And I'm rarely stuck in the middle, but when I am, it's like, guys, I should have these too. And then they're no.
Good luck telling them that.
Anyways. So understand the basic economy fares and what they get. Do not get yourself in a situation where you bring a luggage and you don't have the money or something. Just, know what that is. So let's move on. That's a good one. What do we got here? So passports.
Yes.
Now this one is disastrous.
Yes, a lot of people
don't. Ruin your trip, right?
Yes, absolutely. So technically, your passports, you will see they are good for 10 years. But a lot of countries have a requirement where you have to have 6 months validity on your passport from your return date home. So if you're traveling somewhere, and you're going to come back home, say on January 1st, your passport needs to be valid until at least July 1st. And I have seen it, time and time again, or heard of that where people like, oh no, my passport's good, for another 3 months or so. And it's like, no, you have to go ahead and get that renewed. Because if you get to the airport and you're going to a country that, has that requirement, you're not going to be allowed to board the plane.
No, they will not let you. And it's kind of contrary to what you would think, because you would look at it and say, oh, my passport has not expired yet. It
Right.
technically will not be expired, but it's policy of most of the airlines that
In countries
that because you're close to expiration, you're not going to be able to travel in or out of that country.
Right.
So you don't want to get stuck there, because in the States, they'll let you on, right? In the States, if you're taking an international flight, won't they let you on typically? Or no?
No, they'll check your passport.
Oh, that's why I'm the host and you're the expert. So
yeah, no, they will
you
check
show
your
up-
passport.
Okay, so you say you're traveling to Asia, and you're doing this great trip, and you show up, and your passport expires in 2 months. They're going to say, no, sir or ma'am, you cannot board.
Right. Well,
Bummer.
someone that I know, now I had not booked this trip, but I had seen it on Facebook. They'd shown up to the airport and they were supposed to go to Spain, and their passport expired in 2 months. And yeah, they did not let them on the
don't do
plane.
Yeah.
So they missed out on their whole trip.
Yeah, and then especially if you have that with a combination of no travel insurance, well, that is an absolute disaster.
Well, travel insurance wouldn't even cover that.
No, I know. Yeah.
So, and another thing, too, to think about with the passports is make sure you have the passport book, not the passport card.
Yes, very good point. The
Yes.
card isn't the same, right?
No, it's essentially, in my opinion, it's useless, but you can use it to get on cruises.
Yeah.
But you cannot fly anywhere internationally with the passport card. So
Just get your full passport.
get your passport book. Yes.
But they shouldn't even issue passport cards. They should just
Right.
do the book and keep it simple. I guess your passport card might be a legal ID. Maybe that's what you get. But get your passport book.
Yeah, absolutely.
And another thing we see is, and I see this from time to time, you'll walk in the airport and you'll see people that don't travel often. They've got their luggage opened up in the airport and they're moving stuff around.
Oh, yeah.
It's the weight fees. You
Yes.
got to check the weight of your bags. If you're going to check your bags,
Yep.
check the weight before you go, because they will hit you with the overweight fee.
Yeah, we've gotten hit with that before, actually, too, and it was $100, and that was just one way.
That was just one. And we were like, screw it, let's just pay it. I mean, it was early in the morning, I think, or late.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can get the little handy dandy scales from TJ Maxx for like $10, the luggage scales, and
Yeah.
we have one, and I take it with us on the trip
So
too.
we know, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we get it to like 49 pounds. And typically if you're at like 50 and a half, they won't charge you. But if
Well,
you're at 52, 55, 56, you're getting dinged.
And another thing too, when you it's pretty standard across the board that 50 pounds is the max weight limit before you get charged the overweight fees. But if you were flying on a budget carrier like Spirit or Frontier or something like that, they have lower weight limits. And so it's going to be like 40 pounds. So make sure you always check the limits. So, and just speaking of bags too, United and American and JetBlue all upped their baggage fees. So I'm sure Delta will not be far behind them, but first check bag is no longer $25. It's $30.
Yeah, legroom's getting smaller and baggage fees are going up.
Yep.
I mean, it's just the cost of doing business. And you see that probably with rising fuel prices. Now, I don't really understand the correlation between petroleum prices and jet fuel. I'm sure they probably fluctuate, I would think, the same. So if you see that going up, the airlines have to make their margins somewhere. And since we're the paying customers,
I think they make plenty of money, but
I'm sure they're not hurting. They're not hurting.
They're not hurting at all.
But yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't know that they were up in their baggage fees. Thankfully, if you have status with most of them, you get at least one checked bag. So I've got status with American. If you fly frequently, I highly, highly, highly recommend try to stick to
one airline.
Stick to one. In the short term, you may pay a little bit more on a certain flight, but if you stick it out and you travel frequently enough, the benefits are pretty nice. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
I don't know really. I mean, Delta. I've seen the Delta benefits, and I've actually been in Delta Comfort before. But I've always stuck with American just because they're hubs out of Charlotte. So check your local airports and see what airline carrier goes out of there the most. Obviously, the three big ones are like United, American, and Delta, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I'm American, and we're both American. And when you travel, you get much of my benefits.
That's right.
So you don't. So like if you have a companion with you, and you have status, typically that you get a lot of your companion will get that too.
Yeah, get the benefits.
One thing I like that Southwest does, the only thing I like. Now I like. Listen, Southwest is a great airline. I hate the way they get on planes. It's vastly different than your normal. Get on the plane. You have your zone. You go right to your seat. That's assigned. They don't do that. But I just don't like how they get on the plane with the lines, and then you just pick your seat when you get on. Not a fan. But I do like the companion pass.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's super cool. You get to a certain status with them, you can literally, if you book a flight, you can bring a companion for free.
Yep.
As long as it's the same exact flight. They fly free with you. That is cool.
That is very cool.
Now, we don't have really Southwest hubs near us, so it's not really, I mean, if you have you want to live in a hub to make it beneficial, but they're usually in smaller cities. But because we're right here in the Carolinas, Charlotte is American, they take good care of you. And by the way, not everyone flies first class in Southwest. That is a false statement.
Yeah, once you fly first class on one of the others, it's vastly different than the Southwest. Everyone flies first class.
People say everyone flies first class in Southwest. Southwest, I strongly disagree.
Yes, I do too.
American takes such good care of me when I do get upgraded. And they've been upgrading me a lot lately, so shout out to American Airlines. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And shout out to all our listeners out there. So our podcast is growing. We've got listeners in India, Canada, the UK, Germany, all over the world. We're starting to get listeners. We kind of see where they come from in our tracking, and it is incredible.
I don't know how they find us, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
so.
we hope you guys enjoy the show. I mean, we're just trying to bring a little value here and be somewhat entertaining and just have a little fun. And, we're pretty relaxed people, and we like to think that our business, that the Penyak Travel Company has that kind of culture where we want to make sure you guys have the best trip possible, and we want to sprinkle a little bit of our own personality in everyone's trip. So, we like to relax and recharge the batteries and just make sure that everyone's trip goes flawlessly.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I do have one other mistake, though.
Oh, yeah.
Forgot to touch on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still, shout out to the listeners, but we got more mistakes for you. Okay.
Well, just one. It's one that a lot of honeymoon couples make.
Oh, this is a big one.
Yes, and I highly recommend. So if you're getting married, on Saturday, which is the most common, do not leave for your honeymoon on Sunday. Wait a day and leave on Monday. Generally, most weddings go late into the night. You're drinking and having fun. If you have to wake up and be at the airport, at 5 a.m. the next day, that can just be nothing but a disaster. So I have actually had honeymoon couples who I urge not to do that, to wait a day, and they have missed their flights. It has happened twice in the last year. So, highly, highly recommend wait a day. You'll be so glad that you did. You can kind of unwind, on that Sunday, and then, get prepared to leave for your honeymoon on Monday.
I could not agree more. We left for our honeymoon on that Monday.
Yes.
We did not do the next day. And your wedding, especially if you're an evening wedding or an afternoon wedding, it's going to go late into the night. All your friends and family are going to be there. You're going to be talking to everybody. And you do not want to have to wake up early and drive to an airport. It's just all too common that we see that people miss their flights, though we urge against it. Right. And listen, we get it. There's PTO days. You're trying to maximize that. You already probably took some time off for the wedding.
Yeah.
So I completely understand why couples do it, but if you can work with your employer, I mean, I think it's even worth if you're a salaried employee and you need to take time off, tell them, just say, I'll take an unpaid day. I just cannot risk. Because you don't want to kick your honeymoon off like that.
Oh, no, that's a bad way to start.
Oh, man.
So.
Yeah, just enjoy that first day being married somewhere local, and then go the next day where you're refreshed and recharged and you're truly ready to enjoy your honeymoon.
Yes,
Such
absolutely.
a pro tip.
Yes.
That's why you're the pro. You're so good. That's why you're the pro. So anyways, well, that's it. Hey, this is one of our shortest episodes, so it'll be interesting to see the feedback we get on this. But anyways, please like and subscribe to the podcast. We really appreciate it. We're also on Facebook. We're also on Instagram at Penyak Travel. If you want to quote on anything that you see on our Facebook page or Instagram, give us a shout. We're about to head off to Las Vegas. Super excited about that. We'll bring you guys some good content. Give us a follow, like, share, subscribe, comments, good or bad. We want to hear your feedback. We love you guys, the Penyak Travel family. We will be back to you as soon as we get back from Vegas. But we hope everyone has a great weekend, afternoon, night, morning, wherever, whatever.
Bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
guys. See ya.